So once we get to a box that is not the correct position, we are going to go inside our do while loop. So first we are going to generate a wrong answer. Then, rather than checking that the wrong answer is equal to the correct answer to generate another wrong answer, if that's the case, this time we will check if the wrong answer is equal to any of the values inside our answers array. Because we say that our answers array is going to contain all the answers that we have used to populate these boxes so far. Alright, so rather than doing wrong answer equal to correct answer, we are going to check if the wrong answer is inside the answers array. So to do this, we are going to check if the index of the wrong answer inside our array is greater than -1. Okay, so let me write this first. So to get the index of a certain value, we write the name of our array first. Then we're going to use the method index of, which is a method of the array. And the value we want to check is wrong answer. So if we look at a certain array, then the first element is of index 0. The second element is of index 1, then index 2, and so on. So if an element is inside our array, then it's going to have an index starting from 0. So A, for example, if we get its index, is going to be 1, and we'll be sure that the index of our, we'll be sure that A is inside our array. So if we don't get an index greater than 0, or strictly greater than -1, this means that the value we're looking for is not inside our array. And that's why we are going to check if the index of the value wrong answer is greater than -1 strictly. And this means that wrong answer is inside the array. So what's going to happen here? If the index is greater than -1, this means that wrong answer is already inside our answers array. And in that case, we are going to continue the loop until we get a wrong answer that is not inside our answers array. And if we get that, then we're going to use that value, wrong answer, to populate the box in question. And then after that, before going to the next box, we are going to add this value to our array answers. So to do that, we are going to start with the name of our array, and then we'll use another method here, is going to be push. And we are going to use the value wrong answer for that. So this means that our array now is going to be filled with an extra value that we're going to place at the end of our array. So at the beginning, the array is only one value. Then we are going to get wrong answer 1. Okay. And then we continue the code, we're going to get wrong answer 2. And then we continue the code and we get wrong answer 3. All right. So let's save and try this. So we get 4 different values. Again, 4 different values. And we can keep checking, and we will always get 4 different values. Now we have finished the code to execute once we click on the Start Reset button, and it goes from there till there. Alright, now we're going to delete the comments that we used to structure our code. We don't need that anymore. And we are going to move to the next part, which is clicking on an answer box. So if we look at our final game, when we click on an answer box, first of all, we are going to check if we are playing. If we are playing and we click on an answer box, then we check if the answer is correct. If yes, then we're going to show a correct box for 1 second. We increase the score by 1 and we generate a new question and answers. If the answer is wrong, then we show a try again box for 1 second. So let's go ahead and code this. So first of all, we are going to start with one box. So let's start with box 1 and then we'll move to the rest. So to access the box, we're going to use the ID of the box, which is box 1. And the action is clicking. I'm going to use the method onClick. And then we set that to the function to execute when we click on the button. All right. So we say that we want to check if we are playing. Let's add some comments here. So clicking on an answer box. And now we are going to check if we are playing. So to do that, we're going to check the variable playing. So if playing equals true, then we will check if the answer is correct or not. So to do that, we are going to access the inner HTML of the box and we will compare it to the variable correct answer. So to access the inner HTML of the box, we'll use its ID. Which is box 1. Otherwise, we can use the keyword this, which in our case is going to refer to the elements that we clicked on, which is the box. And then we access the inner HTML of this element. And we're going to compare that to the correct answer variable value. Okay. So this means that we've got the correct answer. And in this case, we say that first of all, we are going to increase the score by 1 and print the new score there. So we're going to use the score variable. I'm going to increase that by 1. And then we are going to access the elements showing the score and change its inner HTML. So the ID of this element is score value. And we're going to set the inner HTML of this element to the updated value of score. All right. Next, we are going to show the correct box. So also we will need to hide the wrong box to avoid both the correct box and the wrong box appearing at the same time. So to hide the wrong box, we use the function hide that we defined earlier, and we'll use the ID of the wrong box or the try again box, which is wrong, and also we will show the correct box using its ID. And once we show the correct box, we will wait for 1 second and then hide it. All right. So if you remember, the function to use for this is going to be setTimeout, which takes a couple of parameters. The first one is going to be the function to execute. All right. And the second parameter is the delay that we're going to have. In our case, it's 1 second, which corresponds to 1000 millisecond. So inside our function, the code to execute is going to be to hide the correct message after a second. And it's going to be hide correct. All right. So that's if we have a correct answer. Now, if we have a wrong answer, that's going to be else. Let's put a comment there. So in this case, we just show the try again box for 1 second. So it's going to be the same code, but we're going to be hiding the correct box, showing the hide box, and then showing the wrong box, and then hiding it after a second. So let's save and try this. It works only with the first box, so it shows correct there. Okay, it keeps showing correct because we don't generate a new question. So now the next step is to generate a new question. So and we generate a new question only if the answer is correct. So it's going to be inside these curly brackets. So we're going to use the function generateQA for this. And now let's save and try again. And now if we click on that, it's the wrong answer. We can't click on these ones because we haven't written any code yet for them. Okay, so we've done this only for box 1, but we want this to work for all boxes. So the solution is really easy. We're going to use a for loop, and we're going to paste this code inside the for loop, and we'll change box 1 using the parameter we're going to be using inside our loop. So if we paste the code first, so rather than box 1, we're going to use a parameter I, and that's going to be box plus I. Okay. And then we're going to initiate I at 1. And then I is going to be strictly less than 5. And every time it increases by 1. So if we save and start, so if we try a wrong answer, it works. If we try a correct answer, it works. And we get a new question answers. And our game is perfectly working now. Just one comment before we finish. If you try the game using Safari on an iPad, for instance, you will notice that once you click on an answer box or on the Start Recess button, the element is going to stay on hover states until you click on another element. And the reason why is because touchscreen devices in general, they don't have a real hover state. So to overcome this, you can take out the hover state, but just make sure that the active state has got all the properties in it, including the background color and the text color. And then you can comment everything inside the hover element. So if we do like this, we are going to lose the hover state, but we'll still keep the active state. Another point regarding cross-browser compatibility: whenever we use a gradient function, like radial gradients here, we need to make sure that this is working for most browsers. And to do that, we're going to need to add a few more lines. It's going to be exactly the same line, but for each line, we are going to add something just before the radial gradients function. So for Safari, we're going to add minus sign WebKit minus sign. For Opera, it's going to be minus sign O minus sign. And then for Firefox, it's going to be minus sign Moz minus sign. We used gradients somewhere else at the bottom of the page for our game over box, and we're going to be doing exactly the same thing. Congratulations! You have just created a nice mathematics game, checking how well users know their multiplication table up to 10. You had a chance to review and practice many of the skills that you have learned in the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript sections of this course. You used CSS gradients to style the background of your HTML elements. Also, you used box shadows to add some 3D effect to your page. And you used transitions for a nice interactivity and the best user experience. You also used some nice JavaScript functions to change inner HTML of elements. Also, you managed to show and hide elements. And you used some nice functions to create timing events. If you changed the design or logic of the game, or if you created a completely different game, then please share with me and other students. I look forward to seeing you finishing other projects and becoming a highly skilled and professional web developer.